This is it. The most anticipated Batman sequel in decades is coming. Hush is back, and he's not alone. More on that in a second. We talked a bit about Hush and the sequel back when they first announced it and put out the preview pages at the end of Justice League Unlimited #1, but DC has dropped new details and pages, and most importantly, a new character, a villain. It sounds like this is actually going to be maybe even a bigger event than the first one, at least in terms of the effect that it will have on Batman and the main continuity. So stay with me for the next few minutes, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly why you need to read Hush 2. But first, let's get this out of the way. Why should you care about Hush 2? There are people who didn't like the first outing of Hush, but the original Batman Hush is one of the most celebrated Batman stories of all time. Written by Jeff Loeb, drawn by the legendary Jim Lee, it redefined Batman's world with one of the greatest mystery thrillers in comic book history, and really just in general, not just in terms of comic book stories. It was a great mystery. And now, 20 years later, they're back to finish what they started. That alone is enough to get excited about. I mean, Jim Lee drawing Batman, Jeff Loeb writing Batman, that's going to be a good time. But what are they planning? It's not just a sequel. It is a declaration of war against Batman and the Bat family, because there's someone new in town. That's right. There's a new villain, a shadow, a very large, muscular shadow in the dark. And his name is The Silence. Usually I don't like people who have "the" in their name, but this guy's one of those guys who's so huge. What are you going to do about it? We don't know everything yet, but DC has confirmed that this character is not going to be a Hush copycat. For one thing, he doesn't have the same silly bandages all over his face. This is going to be a whole new player in Gotham, and we don't really know what the long-term plans are for him. He may be somebody who becomes a new integral part of the Batman mythos. His first target is the Joker. So this character clearly coming in swinging, and he's going to flip Gotham's power balance upside down. We're used to the Joker being the clown prince of crime, the guy who's in charge. But every now and then you see him and he's just not the guy on top. And as you can see from the preview pages for Hush 2, this is one of those times when the Joker is not the big bad guy. He's bad, but there's a bigger bad guy. And just think about that for a second. What kind of villain goes after the Joker first? Who is this guy? What does he want? Is he Jason Todd? Some people have said that. Doesn't really look like him to me, but you never know. Different people draw different people different ways. He's definitely got the same aggressive tactics and clearly hates the Joker. So that's a couple of pieces of evidence in favor of that theory. Maybe some people might think it's Edward Nygma in a way. That's kind of a cool theory because, he has taken on the Hush identity for a little bit. But there's no way that this guy is Edward Nygma unless he's been on steroids and got some kind of a leg extension surgery. It seems most likely that it's going to be an all-new character, but at this point, no one really knows. And here is where things get wild. DC has confirmed that Hush 2 is not just a one-and-done story, or a two-and-done story if you count the first arc. This is going to have long-term effects on Batman's world. They're not just going to rehash the past, they are going to rewrite the future. Nightwing, Batgirl, Catwoman, Joker, everyone is caught up in this war, and some of them might not make it out alive. Only Alfred is safe in his grave, that is. Batman is going to be pushed further than ever before, and this time he might not win. Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb have said that this story will have consequences that last for years. And here's the biggest reveal. Hush 2 isn't stopping at one arc. DC has confirmed that this is only the beginning. It's the first part. It's going to be 6 issues. They're going to come through Batman 158 to 163. But then the war continues in a second arc in 2026. So this isn't just a limited run, it's a massive shift in Batman's world that will play out over years. And as you know, after the first part concludes with number 163, DC is going to hit the reset button, launching a brand new Batman number 1. So they're going to end this current run of Batman with Hush 2. Then Matt Fraction's going to take over, do his thing for a bit. And in 2026, Hush is back. So whatever happens now, it's not going to be resolved in those 6 issues. So there's going to be a seismic shift in the Batman mythos. It's going to pave the way for a new era in Gotham. And when you think about the teams now that we've got coming up for Batman, it's pretty exciting. So you got Jorge Jimenez, you've got Matt Fraction, then they're going to take a break for a little bit, and you got Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee, and then Matt Fraction comes back, and then Jeff Loeb comes back, and Jimenez and Lee, of course. So this is exciting. And if you miss out on Hush 2, you are then missing the prologue of the next chapter of the Dark Knight's legacy. And what are you going to do when the second part comes out? It is, for Batman fans, too integral to the story to miss. If you're a Batman fan, you would be missing one of the biggest stories of the decade if you did not pick this up. I feel like DC ought to be writing me a check. Anyway, now you know what's coming, and you know you can't afford to sleep on this one. Batman Hush 2, it's coming out March 26th, 2025. Just right around the corner. Starting with Batman issue 158. I feel comfortable, even though I haven't read it, I feel comfortable guaranteeing that this is going to be the story that everyone is talking about. Now, that may only last until Matt Fraction takes over and does something even crazier. Who knows? But we will be talking about it here. So hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. Let me know. Are you ready for the return of Hush? And what do you think the Silence's real identity is? Drop your theories in the comments and let's get this discussion going, because this is going to be insane.